People who've seen nice people finally snap. What happened? 1. This woman, Mary, I worked with was always pleasant and cheerful, said hello in the lunchroom, and was generally liked. She worked in finance and special projects. She said she wanted to retire in a few years and had been working there for 15 years. Her boss started pressuring her to complete our annual budget report faster, but this thing is huge and comprehensive, a figurative beast. Mary told the boss it would be ready in a couple of weeks, per the usual schedule. The boss said it needed to be completed within 1 week to give to the higher-ups. Mary said it wasn't possible. The boss emailed Mary, ceasing a bunch of co-workers and assistant managers, calling Mary out for a poor work ethic and for making the department look bad. Mary said it wasn't possible and that she didn't appreciate being bullied. She put in her notice to retire by the end of the week, leaving her boss high and dry. She was the only one who could do the budget report in a timely manner, so the department was double screwed. Good for her. 2. She was an assistant manager and was known for being soft-spoken. At a manager meeting, one of the general managers, who was known for being a total jerk to everyone, was going off about how every store should be run. Well, she snapped. You have the highest turnover rate out of any store in the district. You can't keep employees for more than 6 months before they just quit, all saying you were the problem. Maybe you should take that advice you're giving us and use it on yourself. 3. A long time ago, I used to do call center tech support for fairly complex issues. A really nice, quiet guy went through the same training class. He talked if you talked to him, but never went out of his way to chat. Right after training, the call center changed a ton of stuff. We started getting squeezed on the amount of time we could do documentation, how much research time we had, just metrics in general. It was utter BS because the favorites got to go on breaks as often as they wanted with the managers. We'd essentially be punished for that because we had to keep the average numbers in a certain area. He did all the right things, talked to his manager, their manager, and HR. It kept getting worse, plus enforced overtime. Then he got a super long call, he was on it at least 2 hours, about a complex issue, and the customer was just straight up trash talking him. But he had to take it because the managers wouldn't give permission for him to hang up. They were basically screaming at him to resolve the issue and get to his next call, but we couldn't end calls, the customer had to. One day he just stood up, stepped onto his chair, then onto his desk, threw his headset on the desk, and sort of growled something like "F this," quietly. He looked around, staring people in the face, especially the ones who took those long breaks and the managers. Then he walked out, and no one ever saw him again. Everyone was super quiet and afraid to move or say much of anything. 4. In middle school, my 6 feet 2 inches gentle giant friend, who is literally the nicest guy you'd ever meet, got teased about his mom by some short, popular kid. My friend, without hesitation, picked him up by his shirt and slammed him against the locker at eye level and said, "Never talk about my mom like that." One of my favorite memories of him. 5. When I was in high school, my group of like 6 friends was sitting at a round table in the cafeteria for breakfast. A table over, some girls had been throwing small chunks of their food in our direction. My one friend wore her hair in an unusual spiked-up style, and I guess the girls at the table were trying to land food in her hair while cackling to themselves. Cue my other quiet, sweet, introverted friend getting so angry I swear steam was coming out of her ears. One of the girls had thrown a decent-sized piece of her egg patty at us, and it landed on the floor near her foot. My friend proceeded to step on the egg patty, pick it up off the ground, walk over to the table of bullies, and shove the egg directly into the mouth of the one who had thrown it. This was such an amazing moment in my high school memory. I couldn't believe what I was seeing as she was the last person I would have expected to do that. Of course, she did get in trouble, but she didn't regret it one bit. 6. I had just started high school, and there was a new kid. He was a giant aboriginal kid who was quiet with no friends, so my friend and I befriended him. We always chatted with him, and he was so lovely, always softly spoken and generally just so nice. Like holding doors open for us and bashfully smiling when we would go out of our way to be friendly to him. Anyway, he started getting picked on by the bad boy of our grade relentlessly. One day, he snapped and beat him up with a garbage can. He was expelled, and I never saw him again. 7. At my older brother's wedding, he, a very nice guy, almost too nice, snapped. He had a horrible girlfriend. He adored her though. She told him that he wasn't good enough and that she would break up with him unless he bought her this super fancy ring and married her. He did. The wedding was very stressful, and she was extra nasty. After they cut the cake, she got herself a huge slice and left him with none, telling him he should go on a diet. For context, he was underweight. He was working his way up to average, he snapped. Threw a handful of cake at her pretty dress and hair, then told her to expect divorce papers to sign. He proceeded to scream, cry, and rant about how horrible she was. He's better now. They split up and live on different continents. 8. One of my middle school friends, whom we'll call Bob, was about a half foot shorter than everyone else. Everyone was around 5 foot. He was an interesting dude, in a good way, interested in learning, played video games, and was great to hang out with. But he looked scrawny, didn't look like he could hurt anything. For some context, our gym teacher was an a-hole. He gave everyone nicknames, some good, some bad. He was always sarcastic, berating us instead of encouraging us. One day, The gym teacher said something about Bob's mom. Bob's mom had fibromyalgia and some other conditions making her weak and unhealthy, not by choice. Something in Bob snapped. Bob completely took down this 6 feet 5 inches gym teacher. The gym teacher looked like he stood no chance. They were quickly pulled apart, and Bob got expelled and had to move schools, while the gym teacher was fired for fighting a student and being an overall jerk.